This video we're going to do another discussion of Walking Dead, and we're going to try and speculate on the new character for the second half of Season 4 named Gareth. Okay guys, welcome back. So I've touched upon this new character very little in some of my prior videos. I haven't had a chance to make a focused video about him until now because there's very little information out there about him. Now, he's played by the actor, his name is Andrew J. West, former star of Greek, and I personally don't know who he is. I've never really seen him, but apparently the explanation here is that he's going to play some form of a character from the comics remixed, but he's not an original comic character. Now, which character he's going to portray and remixed remains to be seen. They're saying that he will be showing up in the later half of Season 4, the second half of Season 4, if you will, and he's going to have a huge presence. Now, there could be many different people he could remixed as. I've been kind of looking into this a little bit in terms of, like reading the articles, reading about Gareth and all the secrecy behind him. And this is just a guess here. This is not guarantee, and I'm sure I'm completely 100% wrong. But I'm going to guess he's going to be a remixed version of Andrea. And I know that sounds weird, but the reason I said that, and I've hinted at, and I've echoed at this before in my other videos when I briefly touched upon this subject, the reason I think he's going to play a remixed version of Andrea is because in the comic book, Andrea has a much more refined and significant role than she did in the series, and she plays a very pivotal role going forward from this point in the series to where they are in the comics. As I've said before, I haven't read the recent ones lately, so as to whether or not she's still around, I'm not 100% certain, but she's around for a lot longer than she was on the show, and I think considering her importance in the comic after the whole Woodbury thing, it's very likely that he could be replacing her likeness. Now, is that likely? Probably not. I'm probably 100% wrong, but it kind of makes sense. Outside of that, I mean, he could play some other characters that we will be seeing down the road. The only reason I'm sticking with Andrea is because Andrea obviously is still, she ran her course in the comic book beyond Woodbury, so she was around for the whole Woodbury thing obviously before that and then going forward, where some of the other characters that we're going to see later on down the road I don't think will show up till mid to late Season 5, Season 6. As I've mentioned before, my personal opinion is that the group, the second half of the and this is also going to be based on the comic, but again, I've never actually read the comic per se. I've always read the synopsis to kind of compare it to the show, so I know major plot points of the comic. I don't know some of the smaller details, but from what it looks like, the second half of the season is going to be following the comics very much, and if that's the case, they're probably, and I've even said this before, you're probably just going to see a lot of, we'll see a little Daryl here, Rick and Carl here, Maggie and so-and-so here. You're going to go a lot of back and forth, and I think personally towards the end of the season, they're all going to get back together, and then they're all going to move forward from there. And I think they're going to set up the next antagonist to be, I think, the Hunters. It makes perfect sense. The Hunters are a pretty cool story plot from the comic, and I think you'll see them in the second half. I just don't think you'll see them right away. I personally feel that you could see them towards the end of Season 4, and I've said that before. I believe I even mentioned that on my Hunters video in regards to whether or not we'll see them. I do think we will. I just think you'll either A, see them at the very tail end of the season, or you're going to see hints of them throughout the season, but they're never actually going to, bother the group, so to speak. Like, I think maybe if you see them before the end, you'll see hints of them basically following portions of the group, if not, a certain, whether Rick and Carl are close to where the Hunters are, and the Hunters are kind of scouting them, or Maggie or Tyrese or whoever. I think if you do see them throughout the second half, you're just going to see glimpses of them scouting certain portions of the group, depending on what the locations are. Either that, or ultimately seeing them at the very end to set up Season 5, or possibly both. But in terms of all the other characters that this person could possibly be a remix for, I think they're too far down the road, and they're bringing him in now, unless they're just going to introduce him in the later half of the season, and then he plays a bigger part in Season 5. But it sounds like here he's going to be in the later half of the second half of the season, and then play a prominent role. So I think he is going to replace, in my opinion, I'm sure I'm completely wrong, But based on what I do know about the comics and based on how things have played out, I think he's going to play a remixed version of Andrea, which we did not get to, unfortunately, we did not get to enjoy on the Walking Dead TV series. A lot of people complained about the character Andrea. A lot of people complained that she was just not the kind of character she was in the comic, and that's very true. And because she's so popular, I think there's a good chance that this is going to be a character that's going to be in her likeness, and that's my opinion. But overall, you know, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm so waiting for February 9th already. I can't, you know, it's getting ridiculous. But yeah, so I think Gareth is going to. It's going to be interesting to see how he plays out. And there's a lot of characters being introduced in the second half. A lot of characters. I'm wondering what we're going to expect for deaths, because they're going to have to start filtering people out. I know they are. But anyway, guys, that's it for this video. I just wanted to kind of touch upon that because I know I brought it up a couple of times in my other Walking Dead videos, but I didn't really focus on it. But that's Gareth. You know, that's the new character for the second half of the season, being played by Andrew J. West. And it's going to be interesting to see which character he's going to be somewhat in homage to, because he is not an original comic character. So we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video, and I'll see you for the next one. Take it easy. Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. I'm your host, Rob. This video, we're going to do another discussion of Walking Dead, and we're going to try and speculate on the new character for the second half of Season 4 named Gareth. Okay guys, welcome back. So I really, I've touched upon this new character very little in some of my prior videos. I haven't had a chance to make a focused video about him until now, because there's very little information out there about him. Now, he's played by the actor, his name is Andrew J. West, former star of Greek, and I personally don't know who he is. I've never really seen him.